Well, it looks like all the screaming about Nick Fuentes on the internet is finally dying down a little bit. It couldn't go on forever, though it seemed like it might. And that's a good thing because, after all, there's a lot else going on in the world, some of it important. And watching people day after day stand up to basically make the same point, I'm a good person, unlike him, not that interesting or edifying or even really informative. I mean, we definitely learned that there are quite a few professional conservatives who are not that conservative in any sense that really matters. Some of them are fraudulent or sad or kind of stuck in nonprofit jobs because they can't get another, and your sympathy goes out to them. But listening to them talk day after day really didn't teach us anything. But it doesn't mean that there aren't lessons to be learned. In fact, there's one really important lesson, and this was really the reason to interview Nick Fuentes in the first place. And the lesson is that a lot of young men in America, mostly white but not exclusively, listen to Nick Fuentes really carefully. And the lesson that our professional bettors in Washington have drawn over the past few weeks is that means they're as bad as Nick Fuentes. They're Nazis too. But of course, they're not Nazis by and large. They're just American young people. And so the question is, and it's a pressing question if you care about the future of the country, why have they been listening to Nick Fuentes?
Because the people don't believe the mainstream media anymore. And you have more people, not only Nick Fuentes, also a Candace Owens, also a Tucker Carlson himself. People like to listen to them because they believe that those people are really speaking facts and they're not lying towards you. Many people, they just don't trust the mainstream media anymore because they work for a boss and they're not independent. And Nick Fuentes, a Tucker Carlson, also a Candace Owens, these people are independent. So they can say whatever they want, and this is what people like. So this is the reason why many people also like to watch Nick Fuentes now.
Sincerely, like, what is this? Why aren't they listening to somebody from the Heritage Foundation or the Daily Wire? Why do they believe Nick Fuentes more than they believe the people who think they ought to have a monopoly on the attention of young conservatives? That is a really important question. And what does it say, not simply about their attitudes, but about the problems they face, the society they grew up in, the future they imagine for themselves? What does it say about all of that Fuentes is so popular among young men? After all, young men really are kind of the basis of our hope for continuing as a country. So if they're off in some direction that you don't understand, it's probably incumbent on you to try to understand it to the extent you can. You know, it's hard to understand other people's motives, and it's even harder when they're in a different generation. But making a good faith effort to figure out what is this, well, that's on us. Us being, you know, everyone with a job who's not in that generation. All the beneficiaries of a stronger, more cohesive America, the America we grew up in, which doesn't exist anymore. It's our responsibility to look at newer generations and say, what's going on with them? Can we help in any way? If we care about our country, if we care about our own families, our children and grandchildren, we probably want to do that. And it's probably not enough to call them names. It doesn't work, for one thing. It just makes whatever we claim to dislike even stronger. There's one lesson of the Trump 2015 announcement and everything that's happened since then, the last 10 years, it's that. And the lesson, obviously, is that when every power center in the country declares war on you, you become a power center. It doesn't destroy you. It makes you stronger. It's certainly true for Donald Trump. Would he have become president in 2016 and 2024 if all the cool kids hadn't denounced him as a Nazi? Probably not. Would he have been reelected if the FBI hadn't raided Mar-a-Lago and gone through his wife's underwear drawer? We can debate it, but maybe not. Maybe this would be the Ron DeSantis presidency. Probably. So attacking people, particularly when you attack them ad hominem, when you don't try to deconstruct or rebut the arguments they're making, but just calling them names, Nazi, that's counterproductive every single time.
This is true. I completely agree with Tucker on this one, because also the same goes for if you are constantly like trying to silence people, trying to censor people. For example, in Nick Fuentes, people actually want to know, all right, we are not allowed to listen to this guy, so then you low-key want to listen to this guy, right? Because if they say that you should not listen to him, you automatically want to listen to him because you want to know what he has to say. And this is literally maybe the success, or this is maybe why Nick is so successful now, because everyone is calling him names, everyone tried to censor him, but still people actually want to listen what he has to say. And maybe a lot of people agree with him. Like I say this many times, you can say whatever you want about Nick Fuentes, you can agree with him, you can disagree with him, this is all fine, but you can't call this man a liar, because sometimes, I'm not saying always, sometimes Nick Fuentes is speaking a lot of facts, and many people, they can see through this. They can see that other people who want to cancel Nick Fuentes, that they are not real. For example, Ben Shapiro, all these people from the Daily Wire, they are saying you should not listen to Nick. Meanwhile, Nick is real in my opinion, and those people from the Daily Wire are bought, and they are not even authentic themselves. So people are starting to see through this. They don't believe anymore what everyone is just saying, just telling them what they should do. People are finally waking up at this point, and they're realizing, wait, the people who they try to censor, they are maybe actually speaking facts. Meanwhile, the people who are not censored, they are lying to me in my face constantly. And once people start to notice this, they will not stop listening to these people anymore. It's actually like, see it as yourself. If you know that someone is speaking facts, but you're not allowed to talk with him, would you still not listen to him? No, right?
You expose yourself as hysterical and shallow, and you elevate them in the minds of everybody else. They're important enough to be yelled at by every trustee at the Heritage Foundation or whatever. They must be important. So again, it doesn't work, but it's also on a deeper level kind of immoral. It's immoral to dismiss the concerns of your countrymen as beneath consideration. I don't have to listen to you because you like some guy who's got ugly views. And by the way, it's not a defense of all of Fuentes' views. We interviewed him on the show and said it is totally immoral to hate Jews as a group, because it's totally immoral to hate any group, period. That's always wrong. But it doesn't mean that everything Fuentes says is wrong. It's not wrong. And more to the point, what he says on the air and his huge popularity, which has only increased the more these people scream at him, says a lot about the people who are listening and their legitimate concerns and the factors in our society in America and the West that gave rise to their attitudes. Like, how did this happen? Let's, for once, in the last 20 years, look back and ask ourselves an honest question. How did this happen? Let's do what we didn't do when we withdrew from Afghanistan, or declared a truce in Iraq, or carted away the rubble from 9/11. We never asked, how did this happen? And no one was ever held responsible for allowing it to happen or the bad decisions that made it happen. Not one person. And so, of course, inevitably, disasters followed disasters, because if you never take the time to take responsibility for what you've done or even understand it, you're apt to repeat it. It's the most obvious observation in the world. It's the basis of good parenting. It's why you make your kids apologize, of course. So let's, in the case of Nick Fuentes, focus not on Nick Fuentes, but on the people who watch Nick Fuentes. What kind of world have they grown up in? These young white men. Well, they've grown up in, over the last 10 years, a world that hates them. And not in a subtle way. Openly, with a Hutu-like directness and ferocity. They've grown up in a country that has systematically, in law, excluded them from the workplace, from education, from federal grants, and has told them again and again and again, no, we're not discriminating against you, and yes, you deserve it. Imagine growing up like that. And again, this isn't behind the scenes. This is way out in the open. And not only has it done exactly that to young white men, of course, white men being the one group who are officially excluded under DEI. There's only one, it's white men, white straight men. It's not whining. And by the way, this happens to be the one group in America who, by and large, have been taught for cultural reasons, don't whine. Don't talk about yourself so much.
And this is a very good point Tucker makes here, because there are actually many people, especially the younger people among us, who actually believe that they are left behind by many people in this country, that these people, they are not part of the society anymore. You have like many, especially like what Tucker said here, young white men who feel betrayed by their own country, especially also America first. Like many people who are America first at this point, they feel betrayed by their own country. And then you have people, for example, Nick Fuentes, who literally say the things that these people want to hear, and then you feel like, yeah, man, this dude is like, I agree with this man. And more people start to feel this way. And this is also why Nick Fuentes is getting so popular, is getting so much traction. He is becoming so popular because of this, because there's too many people in this country, especially the younger among us, like what I just said, who feel like they are being betrayed by the government, by like the whole nation almost. These people, they feel left behind. Meanwhile, they see other people who are like everyone is listening to them, everyone is like agreeing with them, and then you have a big group in this country who literally feel like, I'm being ignored for like so long, for almost 10 years, and then at some point you have like a person, Nick Fuentes, who is literally saying, I will be that guy for you. I will support you. I am saying the things where you agree with. I am agreeing with you as well. So this is the reason why a Nick Fuentes, but same goes for Tucker. Tucker is also now on the good side. He is like getting more traction as well, because these people are just saying the things what many America Firsters actually want to hear. If you are America First, you support Nick Fuentes. Or I will talk for myself. If I think that if you are America First, you will support a Nick Fuentes, because I believe Nick Fuentes is actually America First. He is speaking some facts, and I believe he is good for our nation. But again, this is just my opinion. I'm curious how you think about it. But it is not a surprise that people who really like feel ignored for so long, that they suddenly are going to support a guy who supports them as well. This is like normal, right? This is what happens if you ignore people for so long, and there will finally be a guy who will listen to these people. Then they will support this guy 100%.
No one wants to hear your story, and whatever you do, don't be the victim. All of that's good advice, by the way. But this group has not only been excluded with the force of law by the Justice Department in every state and at every college and university, with maybe 3 exceptions. They've been mocked and attacked and lectured and harangued and screamed at. Every bookstore in America had books on display. Whiteness is the problem. Well, what if you're white? What if you're like 19 and you're thinking about, how do I make my way in this increasingly competitive, maybe even ruthless country? And everywhere I go, people are telling me I'm bad because of the way I was born. What effect would that have on you? And then you flip on the tube or the internet, and all these people with big jobs making big salaries who have the implied moral authority of their positions are telling you you're bad because of your skin color. And by the way, this is not a guess. Here's an example.
We have systemic racism in the United States of America. It exists today. And it's a white man's problem. White men are responsible for it, not black men.
And we have stood by to see mediocre, mealy-mouthed, snowflake white men who are incapable of taking critique, who are willing to dole out infamous repudiations of the humanity of the other, and yet they call us snowflakes, and they are the biggest flakes of snow to hit the earth.
American history is one in which white Americans, by and large, have been taught to have indifference or even contempt for black life. We have defined the country as a white nation where people of color are here on a guest pass.
1 in 3 Americans are racists. 1 in 3 Americans are terrified that this country by the year 2040 is not going to be majority white.
There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. And don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
Wake up, white men. What the is wrong with you? And you're just eating it up. Oh, my God. Look at what they're doing. all of a sudden my heritage is going to be over, that I want to live in a country where there are white kids go to white schools and white people marry each other. What is wrong with that? I want to grow up in the country that my great grandfather grew up in. That country doesn't exist anymore, asshole.
This is actually sickening, and this is so shocking, because I feel like what you just saw, that is racism. This footage, what we just see, those people are, in my opinion, racist. And let me make this very clear. I am completely against racism. Everyone has the same rights, everyone is exactly the same, but then this also counts for them, right? These people, the way how they talk about, for example, the white average man or woman, the way how they talk, this is literally, they talk like discriminations towards them. And this is actually insane, because people are getting so tired of this double standard. If no one should be discriminating, let me make this very clear. But then if we are not allowed to do it, then also other people are not allowed to do it. No one should be allowed to do this, right? And now people start to see that you still have some other people who say that they are against discrimination, meanwhile they're discriminating themselves. And this is actually like hypocrite. This double standard has to stop, and this is the reason why people are getting so tired of this. And again, everyone is the same. We should stop with this whole BS, if you ask me. Everyone, if you're America first, you are like a good person. If you just care about the United States, you are good. Let's stop with this nonsense that they can say this and they cannot say this. They are allowed to say that and they are not allowed to say this. This BS really has to stop. We're all the same. We're all Americans. And if you want this country to succeed, please, let's do this together instead of like fighting each other over and over again.
So you can see why there probably are some Nick Fuentes viewers who are a little confused when they hear themselves attacked as racist. Racism is wrong. Of course, it is wrong. But they've grown up in a world where one of the leading CNN anchors is looking right into the camera and saying, what the fuck is wrong with you white people? You want to be near other white people? You want to have a heritage? You want to have white children? How dare you? The CNN anchor is married to a white guy, whatever. But it's a little hard to tell people that racism is wrong when you're committing it. And again, it's not just a few people. It was our entire ruling class was lecturing us about how whiteness is a disease. It's a plague. It's inherently sinful. It's the source of all evil. The president of the United States stood up and said racism is the problem, and it's only committed by whites. It's a white man problem. Is racism only committed by whites? No, and everyone knows that. Hating other people is a human problem, one that every person struggles with, hopefully struggles against, because it's wrong. It's always wrong. Anti-Semitism is wrong. It's every bit as wrong as what you just saw. It's every bit as anti-black racism or anti-Malaysian racism. It doesn't matter. Hating people for how they were born is wrong. It's called a universal principle. This country is founded on universal principles. They apply to everyone equally. That's the promise of America. That is Western civilization. If you could sum it up in a sentence, what is Western civilization? Well, it's a civilization governed by universal principles. Everyone can be saved. No one is damned by his nature. And hating any group, because that's true, hating any group is by definition immoral. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It happens all the time, of course, because it's the default setting in the human heart. But we need to struggle against it. Maybe not ban it. It's hard to ban attitudes. And once you get down that road, you become totalitarian immediately. But say it's wrong. And if it's not wrong in every case, then it can't really be wrong, can it? If it's not a universal principle, then it's not a principle. And so how can my racism be worse than your racism? Well, of course it can't. So the people lecturing Fuentes viewers for something that is wrong, hating all Jews is wrong, totally wrong, don't have the moral authority to make the case because they've been engaging in this in public and in private for the entire lifetime of Nick Fuentes viewers. So it's hard to take them seriously. And by the way, you can tell exactly where this is going. It's going toward violence, tribal warfare. That's the last thing you want. That's why this is a great country. That's why it's exceptional, because we haven't had that.
And I don't hope we go to this point, but this is seriously, if you try to ignore people for so long, and believe me, though, the group of people who are following Nick Fuentes, they're becoming bigger and bigger almost every day. But if you stop listening to these people, if you call them bad words, if you say that they are not part of this society, believe me, these people, they will literally become so mad that at some point maybe this could happen. And let me make this very clear, I never hope this will happen. I want to live in peace in this beautiful country. I wish this country can be like the best nation in the world again. I mean, like, we are still, but I feel like there's a lot of things to do. But it's just so sad that there's such a big group in this country who literally feel betrayed, who feel like they are left behind, that people are not listening to them anymore. And don't underestimate this. Those people, you have a very big group who actually feels like this. Many people, or I believe like maybe 80%, if it's not 100% of the people who listen to Nick Fuentes feel betrayed by their own country. They just want America first, but they are not getting America first. They see a lot of money going to other countries. They see all these politicians and also Donald Trump being busy with all these other countries, all these foreign wars, instead of being busy with their own nation. So they literally feel betrayed because we voted for America first, and we are not getting America first. We're almost getting America last. So at some point, these people, they're like, all right, the people who say they listen to us, they're not listening to us anymore. So then they will literally like listen to a Nick Fuentes who actually listens to what these people want. Nick is saying the things that many people actually agree with, what they want to hear, but what they don't hear. So actually, it's not a surprise that Nick Fuentes is getting traction. It's not a surprise that the conservative people are growing more day after day. Also, this is the reason why so many people, they don't believe in the mainstream media anymore, because it's most of the time all garbage. But again, this is the way how I feel like it. This is the way how I think about it. And I can understand why this is all happening, because people are just, long story short, tired of being lied to over and over again. They just want this country to succeed and nothing else. And they see that almost every country in the world is getting better, but not our own nation. And this is the opposite as what we wanted. So people feel betrayed and they feel left behind and they feel ignored for so long. And this is the reason why so many people are frustrated and they're getting mad about this.
Why haven't we had that? Because we have self-consciously and out loud said these are universal principles that apply to every human being, because every human being was created by God in God's image. That's it right there. That's a Christian understanding of the human soul. So Bill Ackman is all upset, about Nick Fuentes and anti-Semitism. Good, I agree. But where was Bill Ackman when Harvard was systematically, as it is today, discriminated against people on the basis of their race? Straight white men. Harvard discriminates against them. There's no guessing about that. There was a lawsuit about it. We have the numbers. No one said a word. No one said a word. Where was Paul Singer? These are now big Republican conservative donors. Were they upset? Did they say anything? Did they do anything meaningful? These are billionaires. If anybody could have weighed in effectively against systemic racism, real systemic racism, causing harm, promoting one group over another on the basis of race, it would have been guys like this. They said not a word. Or they certainly didn't do anything about it, that's for sure. Now they're all upset. Well, that looks like self-interest to people watching. These, for the fifth time, are universal principles. The continuation of the United States depends upon those principles. They must be vigorously defended, above all by the most powerful people in our society, the people who not simply have a voice, but have power to enforce those principles. The meritocracy is not just some goal that we should strive toward. It's the whole point. You have to judge people on their behavior, not on their blood.
And I completely agree with Tucker on this, because it's very important that if we actually want this nation to succeed, if we want America first, we should do this together. If we are fighting each other over and over again in our own country already, we will never make our country great again. Like seriously, we should stop thinking in all these groups, and we should like bundle our strengths and make America better just as Americans in general. And I feel like the same goes for the people who follow, for example, a Nick Fuentes, a Tucker Carlson, or a Candace Owens. These people should also be allowed in our society, like not censored, not ignored. These people can also have an opinion, respectfully of course, this is very important. But yeah, if we want to make this country great again, or I rather say if we want to put America first, then we should do this together. But again, this is how I think about it. I'm very curious about your opinion. Like, do you agree with Tucker? Do you disagree with Tucker? Please share your opinion in the comments. I'm very curious. Very important to say. I read all comments, so please share your opinion. Last but not least, guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you really like this video, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And that's it for now. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!